Hi, this is your host Apil Bhartia, and welcome to TFI Podcast. I think it's time for us to throw our Xbox, PlayStation, Nvidia Shield, Nintendo Switch, just dump it all in trash because Google has announced Stadia, which is a new platform for gaming. I'm pretty sure that you know much more about it by now than I do. But there are certain things that I'm excited about, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Number one is that it's using a lot of emerging technologies, and almost all of these are open source technologies. Number two is that it's going to create a new user experience, something we have never imagined, something we have never experienced. And since we have never experienced, we don't even know about it that much, that what it would feel like. I'll talk about that because I've been thinking a lot about it and I cannot even wrap my head around it. And based on all of that, you can also see what kind of market it will create for game developers. It's going to create a new revenue model, a new platform that they can exploit. And when you bundle all of that together, then you get, I don't know what to call it, a platform or a paradigm shift in the culture itself of gaming, of game development, of gaming community that will disrupt the industry. I feel that Stadia is going to disrupt the industry the same way Apple's iTunes disrupted the music industry. Earlier, I had to spend a whole $10 to buy a CD or cassette to listen to that one song that I wanted. But now I can just buy that one song for 99 cents. I have built my whole library by purchasing those individual songs that I wanted. And I can bring that library with me, unlike you have to have 50 cassettes. I mean, you could not bring that, to be honest. We used to tape all those songs on one cassette or put all those CDs on one, all those songs on one CD to bring it with us. So they changed that. Netflix disrupted the whole TV and movie industry. Even Steven Spielberg is worried about it, and he want that Nvidia should not win any Oscars or any such awards if their movies are not in the theater. So people are getting worried because these companies are disrupting things. Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, they had disrupted those industries as well, hotel industry and taxi industry. So I think Stadia is also going to disrupt the industry in the same manner. And it's actually going to go beyond gaming. The fact is that streaming is not new. Whether you look at PlayStation, Xbox, Nvidia, or Nintendo, they all offer some kind of streaming. Each platform has its own limitations. For example, with Xbox, you can stream to your laptop using the Xbox controller, but it has to be Windows machine. You can stream on Mac also using OneCast. But the thing is, you are limited to your local network. With Sony PlayStation, I can stream my game over the internet. So whenever I travel globally, I was in Australia and then China, I can play my games. But what happens is when I fire up my game in my laptop, it actually starts the PlayStation at home, and then it streams everything over the internet. Now they also have a mobile app which you can use to play games, but you can use it only locally. For now, you cannot do it over the internet, but I have a feeling that Sony will offer that capability too if they want to compete with this. Nvidia, they have Nvidia Now, and then they also have Nvidia Game Stream. So they all have, these services. They have some pros and some cons, but none of these offer the streaming that we all need. I mean, when I say need, is because we don't know what it looks like. So we actually don't know if we need it. As Steve Jobs said, if you ask people what they want, they would say they want a faster horse. So we don't know what pure streaming looks like. But if you look at Netflix, what happens is you're watching a movie and you can on your phone, and then you want to move to your work. So you can open up a browser on your laptop and you start watching. It will resume the movie from where you left. Movie or show, whatever it is. Let's say you want to move to a bedroom, you just open an iPad and start watching. It will continue from there. You can move to your living room and watch it on a big TV. So the whole experience is seamless. What Stadia is doing is through streaming. When you fire up a game, it actually runs in a browser, and which happened to be Google's Chrome browser. So the game starts in the Chrome browser, you start playing the game. So whichever device is capable of running Chrome will be able to run that game, whether it's your Linux PC, Windows PC, or Mac OS, it's a tablet or smart TV. I mean, if you look at Chromecast, that runs a Chrome browser in there, so you can play your games in all these devices. Only exception is iOS devices, because while there is Chrome for iOS, but they are using Apple's WebKit, not Google's WebKit, so it will not support Stadia on Apple's platform, Apple's iOS platform. It will play on Apple's MacBook. I am sure that it will not play on Apple TV as well, because there is no Chrome there. So we will see how that pans out. But basically, what the idea is that, so you are playing your game, let's say on your laptop. You plugged your controller, you're playing the game, and then you move to your TV, or you move to your iPad, not iPad, or your Android tablet, or your Android phone. It's seamless, just like Netflix. Now you can imagine just the way you are using Netflix between all these devices. Now you can play your game between all those devices. One of the critical piece here is the game controller, because what is happening is that the TV is, or any other device where you are actually viewing the game, is a thin client. As I said, all the heavy lifting is being done by Google in its cloud. You also need something to control the game. That's where Stadia controller comes into picture. How it's different from other controllers is like, this PlayStation controller is that controller connects directly to Wi-Fi and talks directly to Google Cloud. It's connected to your account, just the way your Google Home or Chromecast talk directly to the cloud, not to your local device. So what will happen is that when you're playing game, so there's one pipe between that device which is playing the game, which could be your laptop or a TV. So there's one pipe just to stream the data, which is the graphics and everything that you're seeing. The other pipe will be created with this controller, which will send commands. So the latency is very low. As long as you meet the minimum requirement for network, you should be able to play games fine, because they're using YouTube's compression technology, which is awesome. For 4K 60 frames per second, you need at least 30 Mbps connection, and for 2K or 1080p, you need at least 15 Mbps connection. What I'm really excited about is what would be the gaming experience like. Okay, this is already interesting that you can move from one device to another device. From what we have learned so far is that if you're watching a game, let's say on Red Brad's channel, I love his channel, and he's playing a game, you can take over from there and start playing. A lot of things don't even make sense. Let's say I'm playing Assassin's Creed and I'm at level 10, but he's playing at level 50. And if I take over that game, does that mean I have all those weapons and I have all those abilities of level 50, but I'm not well equipped to play that level? So what would it be like? It's more like watching a movie where you can start watching Infinity Wars, but just skip all the way and see how Thanos stole the Soul Stone or Mind Stone. You can skip. So similar in game also, you can just move back and forward. So it's more like, how can you do that in a game? It doesn't make sense, but I feel that's what it would be like. What I'm even more excited about is that I recall I was playing, when I was playing Legend of Zelda, I was not good at killing Lionels. So I would ask my au pair M to help me with that. So she would come, take over the remote from me and kill the Lionel, and then I will take over again once the coast is clear. Now what I can do is, because this is another feature of that when you're playing a game, you can share the link of that gameplay, so anyone else can take over or start playing the game from that point onward. So you can send that through your messages or Hangout or whatever. You just send that link, and it will, the person can take over and start playing from there. So if Legend of Zelda was on Stadia, I would just send the link when I'm going to fight the Lionel to her. She would kill Lionel, and then I can take over again. So I cannot wrap my head around the whole experience that is going to be there. So we will see when that happens. And I think all those people who do multiplayer and co-op games, that is going to be even more interesting, because there's no limitation that you feel with the traditional gaming. I touched upon the user experience. Let's talk about the backend technology that are being used. Your device where you're playing the game is just a thin client. It's just displaying all the information, all the game data. Your controller is controlling the game. There's no processing happening locally. All that work is done on Google's own server and cloud. So what happens is when you open a game instance, it just kind of creates a direct connection or a pipe to Google Cloud, where all the work happens. We are not talking about some virtual machine running in some kind of containers. We are talking about real hardware. From what we know so far, each game instance will be running on a dedicated kind of gaming PC, which is I think what is that? It's 2.7 gigahertz, x86 system. We don't know who is the maker, whether it's NVIDIA or AMD or Intel. We don't know, but we do know that the GPUs powering this gaming PC will be from AMD. It's capable of some like 10.7 teraflops. Now compare that to Xbox, which has, I think, roughly 6 teraflops. I'm talking about the most powerful Xbox One X. And if you look at PlayStation 4 Pro, which is relatively older, it has 4.2 teraflop. So, I mean, Stadia is more powerful than both Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro combined. It has 16 gig of RAM. In comparison, I think Xbox One has 12 GB of RAM and PlayStation has 8 GB of RAM. And of course, they will be using all SSDs. So the game data will be saved on SSD, not the old traditional hard drives. So now you're looking at the hardware, which is more powerful than both Xbox and PlayStation 4 combined. Let's talk about the software part of this whole stack. Drum rolls, please. Stadia is powered by Linux. Of course, what is not powered by Linux these days? Everything runs on Linux. I remember I was talking to Greg Cohartman, who is the maintainer of the stable branch of the Linux kernel, and he said that there is a joke within the kernel community that their ultimate goal is to dominate the world. Everything runs on Linux. And with Stadia, Linux is going to be powering the most powerful, the biggest gaming platform in the world, on the planet. So yes, Linux does dominate the world. Just don't talk about desktop. It's not just Linux. They're using a lot of other open source technologies to power Stadia. I mean, if you look at Google, they created technology like Kubernetes. And YouTube created Vitess. So there are a lot of open source technologies, a lot of emerging technology like machine learning, which will be used for this platform. Since we have transitioned to technology, let's talk about how it's going to change things for game developers. I'm not a game developer, so I really don't know how things work. But I think if you are a game developer, you will look at the platforms, because there are like 4 or 5 different platforms, and then you'll see which platform you want to target. The second problem is that if the new version of the platform is coming out, the console is coming out, some platforms are not backward compatible. So you know that you will lose all the user base when this console reaches end of life and the next version of the console comes out, because then you will have to port your whole game to the new architecture or new platform. And then you also have to look at which platform has most users for your game. So you have to see whether you want to target PlayStation or Xbox or NVIDIA Shield or Switch, or you may have to support everything. So your cost of game development just goes higher and higher and higher. With Stadia, you have only one platform. YouTube has almost 1.3 billion users. Of course, not all of these users are gamers, but a big percentage of YouTube consumers, they are on game channels. They are watching. I mean, if you look at Red Brad, every game that he puts out there get 1 million views or so. So there's a big audience which is consuming games. With Stadia, which is tied to YouTube, these billions of users are potential customers. Just the way YouTube has lowered the bar for content creators like us, it is going to lower the bar for game developers so that they can bring their games to this platform. And the good thing for both users and game developers is that there is no versioning. So once you put your game on Stadia, it is there forever. So as a user, you don't have to worry about, hey, the new version of PlayStation is coming out, I won't be able to play this game. One of my favorite games was Crysis 2. No modern system can play that game today. But with Stadia, it eliminates that problem forever. Once you put a game out there, you will continue to get new users. You don't have to worry about it getting killed with the previous version of the console. And for users, once you add a game to your library, you can play it forever. Google is also creating a lot of technologies to lower the bar for developer to actually build games. They have created a machine learning technology which they will be offering to game developers. So when you have to, let's say, if you want to add a historical building in your gameplay, you can just use that machine learning technology and it will build that building with accuracy without you having to spend all the dollars and time in that. They are also coming out with their own studio. I think there are two reasons for it. First of all, to create exclusive games so that people are interested in the platform. And this is nothing new. Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, they all offer exclusive games. But I think the bigger role that the Google Studio will play is that it will show the true potential of the platform to gamers, because most of these game developers may not even know what the potential is, just the way Pixel phones show what all you can do with Android. I don't think that Google wants to be the only producer of these games, because the reason YouTube is such a big success is it has millions of creators. So I think Google would very much want those game developers to become those millions of creators who are putting their games there. That is the core of success of this platform, just like YouTube. I think in general, this is, as I said, it's going to do a lot of great things for gaming, but it has some challenges, some really big and serious challenges. The number one challenge is network speed. As I said, you should have minimum 15 at least Mbps to be able to play at 1080p. But then it also depends whether even when ISPs promise you that speed, do you get it? I mean, for example, if you're using fiber, that is a different use case. But if you're using the old copper wire, they have their own limitation, how much data they can send and they can receive. It goes beyond technology, it goes to politics, because, Republicans have killed net neutrality. Ajit Pai has done a lot of harm by repealing net neutrality. So there is a risk that ISPs might start throttling your speed if you're playing games. They might want Google to play something extra to them so that people can play games, or they may create a different package that, okay, this is a package where you can just browse the internet and check mails. If you want to play a game, then pay us more. So I think Ajit Pai FCC has done a lot of damage to innovation in this country. So we will see how that works out. The third challenge that I see is that there will still be fragmentation, because I'm damn sure that Microsoft and Sony, at least for a while, they will not bring their exclusive games to this platform, because they themselves are building their own streaming platforms. So you may never see Horizon or Lost Legacy on Stadia. You may not see Halo and all those games on Stadia. So then you will end up with 4 different services, one from Amazon, one from Google, one from Microsoft, one from Sony, and then Nvidia will be there, and then Nintendo will be there, and then eventually Apple will also be there. So we'll be stuck in this world of fragmentation. The hope there is that maybe at one day we will reach a point where all these services, while they have their own users, it will be combined so users can play wherever they want to play. I mean, a good example is Disney's Movie Anywhere or Movies Everywhere app. So what happens is, it doesn't matter whether you buy a movie from iTunes or Google, YouTube, or Microsoft Store or Amazon, you can watch your movies. I don't think Amazon is there yet. You can watch all those movies from one app. So it doesn't really matter whether you bought from. So maybe this will happen in the gaming world as well eventually, when somebody will come and say, well, you know what? Let's just fix it. But that is not why I'm excited about Stadia. What I'm excited about is that Google is already doing a lot of work in VR. So just imagine the VR experience that you will get with this Stadia, because now it's not tied to a particular device. You can very easily wear the Google's Daydream and play games in VR. And it's not just about gaming. If Google can manage to stream games like Assassin's Creed, which are like really resource intensive game, without any latency, it opens door for everything else. I mean, gaming is the most resource intensive task out there. If you can do that, then you can do anything in cloud. I mean, I should be able to put all my footage on Google Cloud and use a film editing software, whether it's Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, to edit my films. And I won't be limited to buying this Mac that I have now, because all the heavy lifting is done in the cloud. I can buy the cheapest Mac or cheapest Windows or cheapest Chromebook and edit my films on the fly from whatever device I have. Right now, I have to bring the expensive $5,000 Mac with me everywhere I go. And it's not just gaming, it will just move all the creative work there. So, I mean, initially we were thinking that, okay, the era of desktop is over for consumer, because most people can do most of their work in the cloud. A lot of people are moving to Chromebook and Chrome OS. But with Stadia, even creators, I always argue that, hey, we will still need powerful machines locally to create all the content that you're consuming. But if Stadia becomes successful, all of that workload will move to the cloud as well. I will not need this machine. I think eventually we are moving to cloud, and we'll look back and say, what? You used to have something installed on your big chunky machine to do this work? Why? Because now you can just, carry a maybe machine as thick as this and just get everything done on the plane, on the car, wherever you are. You don't have to go back to your machine to do anything. So this is what I think is the future, which Stadia is kind of laying groundwork or framework for that. So I'm excited about it. So what do you think about it? Are you scared of Stadia? Are you excited about it? You think, no, we should not move everything to cloud? Or you are someone like, yes, we should all move to cloud. This is where the future is. So, whatever your thoughts are, please share them in the comments below. And I would like to thank you for watching this long video. I did not want to be that long, but it is. And one more thing that I would like to add is that we have started a new company called TFIR. So I'm no more freelancing. All the work that I am doing will be going towards this channel and the site, which also means that you will see a lot of content on this channel. You may have noticed that I was posting a lot of videos, interviews. That will continue because I travel a lot. I go and meet people globally to understand how they're using these emerging technologies, how they're using the open source technologies to build new services, new products, or how they're enhancing the quality of our lives. So that will continue, but I'm also planning a lot of other shows. One of those shows is this, which is basically the idea of this show is that how these emerging technologies are going to have an impact on our lives, how they are going to directly affect us. That is the focus of this show. I'm also looking at the name of the show. So you have an idea, please share with me what should we call this show. And since we're talking about the show, I would, if you really like this show, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also click that bell button so that every time I post something, you get a message that, hey, a new video has been uploaded. One more thing before we wrap up is that I have a Patreon page as well. I'm so sorry that I have not updated for a while because, as I said, I was still freelancing, but now I'm totally moving away from freelancing. So everything will be done here. So if you love my work and if you want to support it, please become a patron. The link is here and down below. And once again, thanks for watching. See you in the comments below. Bye for now.